Hello and welcome. My name is Toxic and I'm going to review the latest Warbond Masters of Ceremony in Helldivers 2 today. And let's see if this Warbond is actually worth your hard-earned super credits and if it can help us defeat the ongoing invasion of the Illuminate. So without further ado, let's check it out. The Masters of Ceremony Warbond is located in the Acquisition Center on your ship and will cost 1000 super credits to unlock. It contains a bunch of different items, so let's have a quick overview. Page 1 starts off with the RE 2310 Honorary Guard helmet. It has the Federation's Embrace cape, going with the RE 2310 Honorary Guard medium armor of this Warbond. We have the only primary weapon in the Warbond, the R2 Amendment Marksman Rifle. We got the Federation's Embrace player card and 100 super credits to finish page 1. On page 2, we got the RE 1861 Parade Commander Light Armor. It goes with the head and of course the Hamble Regalia tape. We got another 100 super credits. We got the secondary, the CQC2 Saber melee weapon. We got the Humble Regalia player card. And on page 3, we have the stratagem, the One True Flag. We have the Decorated Hero player title. We have again 100 super credits. Sample scanner that gives you a 15% chance to retrieve twice as many samples. The Lockstack emote. And last, the G142 Pyronite grenade. First, let's look at the armor sets in this Warbond. A lot of people got very excited when Arrowhead released the trailer for the new Warbond and they saw these two armor sets. And I agree, they actually do look very cool. And if you are a so-called drip diver or just are very much into the aesthetics, if you like role-playing, then these armor sets really might be for you. But if you're looking for more in an armor than just cool looks, then this armor might not be for you. The armor passive gives your Helldiver a 50% chance to avoid grievous limb injuries, and that is simply, compared with other perks, not a good armor passive. The heavy armor with the same armor passive can be purchased separately in the superstore. It comes with its own helmet, cape and player card, and it looks once again very, very cool. But in my opinion, the armor passive is just really not good. Not when we already have an armor passive that gives you a chance to avoid limb injuries, but more important, the Democracy Protects armor passive that gives your Helldiver a 50% chance of not dying. This is simply more valuable, and the armor passive of this armor and the Warbond sadly is not good. Next, we have the only primary weapon in this Warbond, the R2 Amendment Marksman Rifle. It does 200 damage, has a capacity of 20, a recoil of 29 and a fire rate of 480, and it has a bayonet attached to its front. The weapon can be upgraded, but sadly only the scopes can be changed. A lot of people like to compare this weapon to the Diligence Counter Sniper because of the 200 damage, and on paper it does look good. But in reality, that's not the case. The weapon has only light armor penetration, so it's more like a sidekick to the R63 Diligence. But not only that, the R63 Diligence can be upgraded in more ways. You can of course also change the optics, but you have also underbarrels and muzzles. So if you want to upgrade a weapon and like to grind, the R2 Amendment might not be for you. But let's see how the weapon actually performs. The scope comes with 3 different variants and you have 2 different fire modes, semi-automatic and burst fire. Semi-automatic of course is there for single, very precise shots, but you can actually trigger the weapon so fast that the burst fire mode actually is not needed at all. But I'm just gonna show it off anyways, so you can see how it looks. The reload animation of the weapon is quite long, and as you can also see, you quickly burn through ammo, and it has quite the sway. You can of course use the melee and use the bayonet on the front, but that sadly doesn't do too much damage. I tested the weapon against all 3 factions, and sadly, as expected, the weapon did not perform well against the Terminids or the Illuminates. Now the damage the weapon deals is actually nice. You can 1-2 shot basically every small enemy in the game, and even the medium-sized enemies go down in just a couple of shots. But you can already see the problem with this weapon. The weapon moves very slowly, so it's very hard to hit accurate shots on very fast-moving targets, and you keep burning through your ammo. Not just through the magazine, but through your total ammo account. So sadly, the weapon is not very good against the Terminids or the Illuminates. You will quickly get overrun by the small chaff enemies of these factions, and the light armor penetration of the weapon prevents you from doing any kind of real damage to bigger enemies. The weapon did feel a little bit better against the automatons, making quick work of the smaller enemies of this faction. For example, taking off the arms of Devastators in just a few shots, and of course killing them with just a single precise headshot. But once again, the just light armor penetration of this weapon hurts it against most enemies of this faction as well. You can't damage at all most enemies, or at least a lot of them. And if you're like me and struggle to hit these very precise single headshots while you're under fire, then this weapon might not be for you. Next up is the CQC2 Saber melee weapon, a one-handed ceremonial sword. And the weapon is basically a copy of the CQC5 combat hatchet. Both weapons deal the same 110 damage, are one-handed, and even though it says light armor penetration, it actually can deal damage to heavy enemies. And it can be noted that the attack animation for the sword is slightly different than for the combat hatchet. The sword, just like the combat hatchet, does not have any stagger or stun effect on the enemy, so it's not really the best weapon to bring against medium-sized or even the heavy enemies in the game, even though it is theoretically possible to kill them with it. But where this weapon truly shines is if you combine it with the Peak Physique armor passive that increases your melee damage, and you take it against the small enemies in the game, against the big mobs of the Illuminate or the Terminate, and spread democracy in the most ammo economy friendly way possible. But because something is not the most efficient or the safest way to deal with something, doesn't mean it's not fun, because it sure is a lot of fun. You climb the back of a factory strider and simply take him out with your sword. So, what do I think of the new sword? Well, it's kind of tricky. As I said before, it basically is a copy of the combat hatchet, and if you already unlocked that weapon, then the sword isn't really going to bring anything new to you. Sure, it looks a little bit different, and I do prefer the style of it, but it's not going to be my favorite melee weapon in the game, and it's not going to change anything too dramatic. Next up is the G142 Pyrotech Grenade, dealing 50 damage, penetration of 3 and an outer radius of 5. It is very similar to the G13 Incendiary Impact Grenade or the G10 Incendiary Grenade, but it does have a little bit of difference to it. So let's check this out. The first big difference about this grenade is that you can carry up to 6 grenades, no additional armor passives needed, instead of the usual 4. The next one are the sparks emitted from the grenade before it explodes. Those sparks actually deal additional damage, not shown in the statistics, and it can even deal damage to heavy armored enemies. And even though the grenade isn't made for it, it's not its main purpose, it can deal with bigger threats. But it is mainly a crowd control grenade, and it does a pretty decent job at doing that. The fact that you can carry 6 instead of the usual 4 grenades also comes in extremely handy when you want to take out Illuminate ships, bot fabricators, or bug nests. The grenade has no problem doing that. And the last item in this Warbond is the CQC1 One True Flag, the first and so far only melee support weapon in the game. The One True Flag stratagem comes with some unique animations that none of the other melee weapons have, and you can only do with one true flag. Once you pick up the flag, you can hold the reload button and wave the flag of democracy. The attack animation of the flag is pretty much the same one as the stun lance has, even though the flag has a far greater reach. And if you want to drop the weapon onto the floor, you can place it on the ground like the true democratic hero that you are. But the attack animation of the one true flag doesn't just look like the one from the stun lance. The flag actually functions the exact same way. You do have a little bit more reach with the weapon, so it is a little bit easier to keep enemies further away from you, but that also means the weapon has a bigger dead zone, meaning enemies that flank you or come too close will be harder to hit with the flag than it is with the stun lance. So now the question becomes, why would you want to play with the flag, where you have to sacrifice not only a stratagem slot, but also your support weapon slot, when you could just simply play the stun lance that does the exact same thing as the flag, but you can play that as a secondary and can still play with a normal support weapon or stratagem? Well, the answer, like most of the things in this Warbond, are style points. And yes, that might be not important to you, and I agree. The flag is not going to be something that I will be running regularly, and it won't be in my permanent loadouts. But I do have to admit, it is really a lot of fun playing with the flag. The style points you get, it just feels really cool. And to prove that to you, I'll just watch you that little clip how I stun and take out a charger with the flag, and you tell me if it has more style than the stun lance or not. So, to answer the question from the beginning of the video, is the Masters of Ceremony Warbond worth your hard-earned super credits? Sadly, I have to say no. Even though all of the items can absolutely be used on any difficulty, no item is actually good enough to replace any of the better options that are already available, and some of the items are simply copies from already existing weapons. But if aesthetics and style are important to you, or you enjoy the role-playing aspect of the game, this Warbond is hard to beat, and I will definitely carry the flag into some more missions simply because it is so much fun. And not everything needs to be meta or S tier. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.